because people, when they hear 11:30, that's when they come on. But we had some people register and get on a little early. My name is Michael Benson, and I'm going to be your host today for our webinar. And I'm sitting in my office, and I'm in Florida right now, but I want to, well, let's see, I'll go this way. I just want to let all you Texas people know that are on here, that's a picture of the Alamo. So maybe if we have time, I'll share a little bit of the Texas connection. So, but I do believe in starting on time for the people who are here. There are some people that are still popping on. So what I'd like to do first, before I get started, is I just want to thank NTX AMP, their current president, Tom Perry, their past president, Joe Runnels, and the rest of the board for allowing me to participate and bring you this important information to help you protect your customer data. And, it also goes beyond that. I think that the NTX AMP, beyond just compliance, really does care about you to bring this information. I think there's some really good information that you're going to be able to get. It's a lot of it's general in the beginning, and in the end, it's very mortgage targeted specific. And we have a great offer to offer all of you. So I would encourage you to stay on for the entire webinar because the meat is towards the end. We're kind of setting it up. And in any webinar or public speaking that I've done over the years, they always say, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. But before I do that, I'm going to go invisible because I want you to really focus on the slides and instead of me. So I'm going to go ahead and make the slides the full screen, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I think a couple people might still be popping on, and that's okay. So, the heading, how safe is your consumer data while you're working remotely or in your office? The interesting thing is above that, it says, will cyber insurance pay for your ransom outbreak? And you may be thinking like, well, is this about cyber insurance? And I want to ensure you that the answer is absolutely no. We do not sell cyber insurance, but there's some real great um, analogies, and we use cyber insurance. And the reason we use cyber insurance because they know all the actuaries. They know they're paying out claims. And so we want to share the things that stop claims from being paid out, which ultimately is going to wind up protecting you and your company, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to get started. I'm going to ask you if you can grab something to write with. That's always really great. I'm going to move fast through some of these slides, and I want to bring it right home to you guys. If you haven't heard about this, maybe all of you have, the hack that happened last October. This was an article that I grabbed some information from December 18th, right? So just 4 or 5 months ago, Mr. Cooper states that the sensitive data, including social security numbers, bank account numbers, and dates of birth, were stolen. And this was, I guess in November, they said their last month, it was very grim. The standard of what's going on out there when someone gets breached is offering them 1 or 2 years of identity theft protection. So you could just look at your database, look up. I mean, some of these companies charge $20 a month. Some have an annual fee, but imagine what it's costing at the end of the day if you had to pay $10 a month for everybody in your database, all your past customers, all your past employees. If it was just 1,000 in your database, it would be $10,000 a month for 2 years and cost you $250,000. This is serious, and there's some more information that we're going to bring you. So you really do want to be compliant. It's not just about following the rules where these guys want you to be compliant. It's beyond the compliance is what can you do to really protect yourself, because It is happening and it's increasing, and we are in cyber war right now. So, what the heck do you care what I have to say? Is a question that kind of comes up. So, when I talk about, tell them what you're going to tell them what, tell them, then tell them what you told them. We're gonna talk about what you can do to protect yourself, why we're doing this, and that is really what this is all about. And then you can make some decisions on, where the holes are. We're going to give you an offer to be able to do an assessment so you can really keep your own IT departments honest. And when you look out there today, these are the types of coverage that you can have. Why listen to myself? Well, I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization since 2014. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We help the visually impaired. We started a division called Cyber Umbrella at the end of last year. We received a $2 million grant, and you'll find out why we're doing this in the next couple of slides. And we're giving out the ability for companies like yourself to participate and get a grant from us, because it's costly to do a real assessment, a real penetration assessment, and some of the FTC rulings today are actually requiring that you do that. They're actually using the word must. So we do this with an MSSP, and I want to explain the difference. A lot of you may have an IT guy, and that's great. Let's call him Brian, and Brian's the guy that you call up when your computers aren't working well. And he may be Mr. Fix It. He knows a lot about everything. Maybe you're with a bigger company and they're under contract with an MSP, and an MSP is that mortgage service, not mortgage, managed service provider. They're managing all of your computers, your firewalls, everything in the back end. I use the word SME because that's a subject matter expert. And like going to the doctor, you go to a general practitioner. He tells you, well, hey, I need to send you to the eye doctor. And in my case, then the eye doctor wind up sending me to, let's say, a glaucoma specialist. And then from the glaucoma specialist, they're sending me to the MSSP, which is the managed service security provider, and they're sending me to Will's Eye. And as you wind up going through this, the MSSP is who we're involved with. They're the guys that are on a conference call when AT&T gets hacked to find out how did they get hacked. They're on the latest webinars on how do you combat the fact that hackers are now using AI. And just in the last year, the fellas that we're associated with that do our third-party assessments, they did over 2,000 of them last year. And the stories and the things we've seen is it's absolutely scary. And we're going to tie into to mortgage, but one of my good friends owns an accounting firm in New Jersey, and I like to tell this story at this stage of the game because you're involved with accountants and title guys and realtors and everybody that you deal with. And this accountant said to me, hey, Mike, I guess the FTC is now making us do these assessments and putting a written security plan in that has to do with cyber beyond just shredding our documents. Sound familiar, guys, right? And he said, but I have an IT guy. His name's Brian, and he handles everything for me. I'm good. He had 12 computers, runs a decent sized accounting firm with 1,000 clients. And he said, look, we got Defender software. We got an updated, server and firewall. We're good. And I said, that's great. This was at the beginning of the year. And I said, I have some of these grants. I'm doing a test. And I'd like to give you one of these free grants. And he said, hey, I got to get this done. It's better than a self-assessment. We can't really self-assess ourselves. So to have a third-party assessment to keep everybody honest, that's fine. We're not trying to throw any IT guys under the bus. One IT guy, he really welcomes an MSSP because he realizes that, he's not the specialist in that. He's a general practitioner. And the other IT guy has the ego that says, I got you, don't worry. And he wasn't willing to bet the farm, I guess, on his IT guy. He said, hey, I got to do the test anyway. You're saving me money. These tests run as much as $5,000 to do the test. So we went in and did the test. We were able to hijack his email, steal his Microsoft token. From there, we got social security numbers, and he absolutely could not believe it. And so that's what we're really going to talk about with AI out there today. The FBI has put out a calling and a warning, and there's some good information for you to see. The cyber attacks they're getting, they are going to increase 300% just this year, and there's a focused effort, and that's kind of why I'm here. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll really dive into the information. So, this is me here. I founded an organization called Love Vision back in 2014. I'm speaking in front of the National Federation of the Blind in this particular slide. And I've been filmed by ABC World News in the Grand Canyon. Started the very first blind surfing events. Actually, we're in New Jersey. We're doing our 9th Surfing for Vision in August 17th in Long Branch, New Jersey. Last year, we had 91 blind people surfing to send a message back to who? Back to 16-year-old Michael, who said, if I go blind, I'm going to kill myself. I was the youngest baby in the world to have glaucoma surgery in 1961. And they told me at 16 to take Braille and that I would be blind. And God, God had a different plan for me. I am not blind, still have vision in my left eye. And so in 2014, I started taking people going blind on visual wishes, then started doing blind events to send a message to those going blind that their life is not over. This last picture, I'm a little dark here. This is a little girl who went blind, who had a visual wish to see the Epcot fireworks before she lost her vision. That there she is on my shoulders. And I was nominated for CNN Heroes after that event. And those accolades, they don't mean anything, but I just want to let you know, like, how did we get here? Well, my whole life's been business and charity. I started my business career with Bella, Pennsylvania Yellow Pages. I've been in thousands of businesses, deciding what the problem was, and that was in the 80s. In the 90s, I became an international business consultant. There I am in China, consulting in China. Got involved in ISO, helping companies become ISO certified. And one of the things about this that I'm going to say is, what could blindside a business was my specialty. And I want to talk to you about that today. And then here I am in a magazine that came out in New York City, Industry Magazine. I'm the guy in the middle. I wrote a business plan, raised funds, and started a company called B Causes, and put entrepreneurship, business, and charity under one platform. We built a platform where every millennial could pick the charity they wanted, and a percentage would go. It was like Groupon met Amazon Smile. Unfortunately, what happened was COVID hit, and all the restaurants in New Jersey shut down where we launched. We were on a burn rate, did not make it through. And so during COVID, I popped back. I was which is not on here, I was the number one guy in Jersey with Wachovia, writing $7 million a month in mortgages at one point of my career prior to 2008. So during COVID, I went and got relicensed, popped into the mortgage business, whole different market. And as the opportunity came up, I saw the opportunity in cyber, and based on some things that happened. And our goal was, hey, we started putting blind people on the phones, calling CPAs, mortgage companies, now now that these fines are getting ready to come out. And again, we're putting business and entrepreneurship together. Our goal is to help you, just like we're taking blind people surfing. The reason we do that, we give them a great day. It goes all over social media, but the reason really is to show those going blind that their life's not over. The whole reason we're doing this is we're give out grants to help your company be safe, because our goal is to protect 5 million people. This is the last thing that I'm going to say to you guys, is that one of my regrets, and there's a lot of regrets in the visually impaired and other disabilities, I was turned down for the service to be part of our military in my 20s. And I do look at that. We are at war right now. You may be here for a different reason. We're looking to help you because we're looking to protect those consumers in your database. And we have a goal to protect 5 million people in the next 18 months by protecting as many businesses as we possibly can from cyber attack. So that's that portion. And we're going to get to the mortgage stuff. And this is a little bit about the insurance. You may think, well, hey, I don't need ransom insurance. And maybe you don't. And we never see small businesses in the news. And maybe you are a small branch office and you feel that, hey, and again, we're not selling insurance here, but we're going to talk about what you need to be safe, what insurance companies want to do to approve you because they don't want to claim. And that's why we're using the insurance aspect here. But we are going to give you a little example of a small mortgage office. We see a lot of these different scenarios that come by. And this is, we would call this a very small office with just 2 computers. And we see all of these different cyber attacks. And here's an example of 7 days in downtime and a paid ransom. And you say, okay, what's going on here? And the reason why we're showing you this, because you figure like, okay, what's the big deal? The big deal about this particular aspect, as we kind of dove into the back end of this, was the FBI said that they were there for 8 months. They knew exactly what was happening. The scary thing in your business now is they can take over an email, and it's not a fake email that someone's clicking on anymore for phishing. They can literally send an email and it could come from Tom Perry, and it comes right from his email because they have been sitting there and you don't even know. You don't even know what information they've been sending from your database to the dark web, which opens you up to a legal lawsuit, which we're going to show you later. And then if this company this particular one wound up getting a $38,000 payday that just came in, and after they got everything that they needed, they encrypted them and they ransomed them for $38,000. They're like, how did they know we just got a $38,000 payment? Because they're the man in the middle. Termites, and you guys know with inspections, you're going, oh, they could have termites. There's different stages. By the time the house is falling down, the termites have been there for years, and you don't even know if you have termites in your system. Doing a pen test, what we give away as a grant, we can actually see if information has already been sent to the dark web, that if some of your passwords are already on the dark web. You want to know this beyond compliance, just to really protect yourself. And as a ISO business consultant, these are the things that can just blindside your business. So it doesn't matter if you're a small business, a big business. This particular scenario, you go, oh, all our stuff's in the cloud. They're able to get into the cloud now. They'll sit there with an AI hack and just all day long, you don't even know it. It's just hacking away until they can get into your cloud. All of these businesses, to get out of the encryption, once they encrypt everything, you can try to go to your backups, but you got to pay the ransom. I mean, that's just really what is going down. And if you and even if you do pay the ransom, there's already stuff on the dark web. And so we then talk about, the cyber insurance, and the reason we do, and you may want to look into it, again, we're not selling it, is because we want to let you know that your business interruption insurance does not cover it. So that's one of the things we want to point out. So, well, I got business insurance, but business insurance will not cover this. So maybe you want to look in to the cyber insurance. And then the reason we're going into this is because we know that insurance companies hate paying ransoms, right? So they're denying claims since COVID. Their denial of claims. First of all, the small businesses like and they consider small businesses in the insurance actuaries under 25 million, and it's getting smaller and smaller. They're going down and down. These guys are now, it's almost like bulk emailing, the bulk spamming of phishing attacks that are taking place. They are coming after you. And that's why the FTC is putting in all these new regulations, and they haven't really fined. They're going to start fining actually this month. So we're going to show you that. We pulled that right off the net for you. And so they're denying claims. And why are they denying claims? And we're going to give you a little tip. A, if you want to get insurance, or B, even without insurance, what would you do to be able to be approved and to make sure that these insurance actuaries, they approve people that they believe they're not going to have to pay a claim on. So we're going to talk about why these claims are being denied. It's because the insurance companies, and they're getting smarter now. Up to this point, they were allowing your IT company to do a self-assessment questionnaire when you would apply for the insurance. And these questions are getting harder and harder. Now, I've been on, when we do we do these risk assessments, I've been on some of these calls, and people are like, well, do you have this plan in place? And the person's like, I think so. And so you really need to know when you go through a self-assessment. And we're gonna go through a few of these things that you can do on your own after this webinar to make this webinar worthwhile, that you can do on your own to make sure that you're safer than you were before you got on this call. Okay. And so we're going to talk about a few of these. Do you have multiple factor? A lot of you guys do. When you go to log in, you have LastPass and different things in the mortgage business, or you're dealing with a bank. That's good. Do you have backups? Are you sure that they're working? Do you have up-to-date antivirus? Do you have a written and documented breach response plan? And do you have up-to-date active firewalls? Well, we're going to go through very simply, because this is what we call pre-existing conditions. A lot of people, oh yeah, we got that, right? Or your IT person, you're relying on that IT person. But it's the same thing if someone fills out this self-assessment and says, yeah, I don't smoke, and then 2 years later they come down with lung cancer, and the doctor says, you've been smoking for 30 years, 3 packs a day. They're not going to cover you, right? So that's why we took this information from the insurance company. So let's actually go through this, some of the things that you can easily do yourself. And to find out if you have multiple factor authentication, all you have to do really is, are you prompted anytime that you're putting in email or sensitive information? So you may have it with your email, but are you prompted when you're dealing with, and if you have HR, right? Are they prompted? Is all your sensitive information protected? Now, as far as backups go, do you test your backups? So this may not be your job, but you can, are our backups being tested? Now, as far as someone that does want to get covered, I would just want to talk about, an insurance firm denying a claim or saying, yeah, we test our backups. They're going to want to see a logbook. They're going to want to see, like, okay, yeah, you test them. How often do you test them? They're not going to take your word for it. And you shouldn't take your IT's word for it. You should have a log. How often are we being tested? What are we backing up? Was there anything we needed to recover? When I was involved in helping companies become ISO, it wasn't about a company that made no mistakes would not pass the sniff test. We know that there's mistakes. What we would check on, here's the mistake, here's how we're going to fix the mistake, and here's the policy and procedure we're going to put in so the mistake doesn't happen again. And that's really what you want to do in your being secure in your compliance for, as far as for cybersecurity. So the next thing is do you have active antivirus? Here's something that you can check real easily. 20% of the networks that we do these tests for, they're missing up-to-date antivirus. That's an open window for a bad actor to get in. without even anyone clicking anything. So um, easily, just you can do this while we're on this call. Go to the right hand corner with your mouse and hover over. And do you see it? Do you see an icon there? For any kind of antivirus or protection that is protecting your endpoint computers. And so, if not, that's something you can do. Make sure. And if your guys are working at home and they say, well, they're working on home. Are they on the company computer? Are they on their own computer and logging into the company system? You need to check this as well, because people can take over their computer and log into the company system. And the last thing is, if you're with a big mortgage company, to have the breach come from one of your remote individuals because of this scenario here. Okay, so okay, the next one here is uh, on this question here as we go through is, do you have that written plan in place if there is a breach? You as the owner, do you have that plan? And sometimes people say, well, I think our IT department has it. Well, as the owner, if there is some kind of breach, the FBI or insurance companies or whoever, they're going to deal with the owner. You need to have that. Here's what happens plan. And I really think that that's what, Joel and Tom and this group actually helps you with put in place. I'm making an assumption there, but you as the owner have to have that at your fingertips at all times. So if you don't, you could be in trouble, and you're opening yourself to liabilities besides, if it was insurance, being turned down for insurance. And then the last thing is do you have that up to date active firewall? Are you paying for a subscription just like antivirus in the last 2 years? And if you're not paying uh, for a subscription to your firewall, then you're in trouble. And because just with AI coming out, there's something new coming out on a regular basis. And if you remember, I went through IT, MSP, then I talked about an SME, which is a subject matter expert. And that's who we use to do our tests. We're using an MSSP, a managed a service security provider. So a security specialist. So you want to make sure that you're up to date, because these hackers, they're changing things very, very quickly. All right, so you can pretty much check these yourself, and you could do it quite easily. Now, you could say, hey, this isn't my job. And, I have an IT company, and that's fine. And what we are getting ready to talk to you about is a third party uh, cyber compliance readiness assessment. And we have some more slides to share, and we're going to really dive into some mortgage information for you right now. But we want to let you know, just for coming on today, you're going to get a free third-party cyber compliance readiness assessment that you cannot really have your IT company do that self-assessment. You can, but you could get blindsided. And to have a third-party assessment, they're costly. And that's one of the things, belonging to an organization like this, to set up to be able to go and do this with no obligation, to be able to see where the weaknesses are in your network, is really, really a great benefit. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the FTC safeguard rules that require non-banking institutions to do this. You guys may or may not have been aware of the new safeguard rules, but this is right from their government site. And we just wanted to highlight for you guys that are on here, mortgage brokers are now on the list. And as we go through this, this is what they're telling you that if you're on the list, you need to do quickly. Now, of course, I highlighted the blue and the black on this, but we took this right off of their site. It says conduct an initial risk assessment to identify internal and external risks to the security, confidentiality, and an integrity of the customer information. Develop, implement, and maintain a comprehensive written information security plan based on what? The risk assessment. And so that comes down to, are you going to do a self risk assessment? You may be able to get through compliance doing that, but you're setting yourself up for a explosion. And are you really safe in this environment? And we're going to go on to show you what is going on out there and why you really don't want to do that. This is the FTC rule. They made one change and they changed it to must, which just validates everything that we're saying here. So the final rule, and if you look up the rule, 314-4, it talks about, designing your safeguards through the risk assessment. They made one change. A financial institution must design and implement safeguards to control the risk you identify through risk assessment. So the final rule, this error is corrected. So in the final rule, they're telling you, we're going to rely on this risk assessment, and this is what you must put your plan in place. And if we come in and you don't have that plan in place, then these are what the penalties are. The penalties right now per violation are $100,000 per violation. And guess what, folks? They are beginning May 13th, 2024. So you're on this call at the very right time. And hey, look, maybe you already knew about this, maybe you did not. But what's happening now, it's no longer safe to safe assess because you have the FTC coming at you, but even beyond that, this is what the consumer rights are now. You don't want to just get by, especially when you can get a real third-party assessment and a report that's going to tell you exactly what you need to fix without the guesswork of a self-assessment. Can you sue for data breach? You can file a lawsuit to obtain payment for your losses. There are ambulance chaser attorneys now advertising on the internet with calls that it's going to triple the amount of lawsuits. Can you be compensated for data breach? Here's the big one. A non-material damage, you have suffered distress. So besides financially, you could be sued for the fact that, oh my gosh, we went through all this stress. We had to do this, we had to do that. I was turned down for a credit card. I lost the opportunity to buy something because of this. And they tackle that breach back down to your company. The third thing blew me away. They are now saying that they have 6 years from the date of the breach to wind up suing. 6 years. So that means Mr. Cooper turns around and says, "Oh, I'm going to give you 2 years of LifeLock," and thinks they can wash their hands. Well, the attorneys are not going to let that go. And this is a very real story and how I got involved in this. My wife's company in San Antonio, Texas, she was the CFO for a very large company. They were hacked and held ransom for $10 million. And they had to go out and they had to get every vendor, every past customer, every employee. They had 700 employees. Every past employee, they wound up having to buy them LifeLock. After the LifeLock expired, she retired from that company. One of the presidents of one of the divisions started another company, which he works for today. And so it's a few years later, he gets a phone call from one of the banks. Just so happened the criminal walked into the wrong bank because they knew him. Someone walked into the bank with a copy of his driver's license with their photo on it. And from that breach years earlier, that information was sold to the dark web. Someone bought this fella's license. The president of the company walked into the bank with his photo on that license to open a bank account. Now he would have a driver's license, a bank account. He could get a social security number. He could do many, many things, take out loans. And the company that had the breach, it's within 6 years, can be held liable. And the attorneys are piling on. So this is that game changer arrow that could come out of nowhere, that you're doing really well. The interest rates come down. You're writing mortgages again, and boom, someone clicks on the wrong thing, or you didn't even realize that your information is going to the dark web, which you'll never know with a self-assessment, by the way, that your information is going to the dark web. And so you need to know this information. Do not gamble. You've been dealing with enough things that have been out there. So that's what we do. And if you think, that you're completely protected, that's great. You got some great information today. If you think you're 100% protected, just like my accountant friend, he goes, "Hey, Mike, I think we're 100% protected, but I should really do this for compliance." So we did it. And we found out all kinds of information. Now, we're not IT department against, again, you have the IT guy that welcomes this, and you got the egotistical guy who thinks he knows everything. Are you going to bet the farm? Well, here what I am going to say. I'm going to dance here because I don't want to alienate any IT people, because we love IT people and we all need IT people. But the AI hacker guy, the evil doer, is not calling them up and going, "I'm coming tomorrow." And so we can do this test for you very simply, and we don't need any administrative credentials. We're not going to install anything on your computer. It's really, really simple. A program's run. An NDA is signed, and they go over everything. It's a billion-dollar third-party tester. Everything's on the up and up, and they'll go over everything with you. You just say, "Yes, we want this test." They'll go through it, and then what they'll do is they'll analyze the network. They'll give you a report. They'll meet and review all the results with you, and they'll wind up giving you, simple steps that you can take to protect yourself and your data. Now, if you see right here, cyberumbrella.org/cyber-TCS. And what we did for this, I'm going to tell you, is if you go there, you could actually go to cyberumbrella.org /cyber-TCS. And if you fill that form out, we're going to know that you were from this webinar. You're absolutely going to be approved. And what we typically do, we got we're getting ready to end this, but we got a special offer for you. And you're going to say, "Well, hey, I love this slide. By the way, I didn't put it in. Marketing put it in. I think it's great, though." It's like, why the heck would you do this? What are you doing this for? And I just want to remind you, my organization, by the way, we're handing you off. We have a grant to do this. We have a goal to help protect 5 million people. We're also putting visually impaired people on the phone to make phone calls. And, for myself, all my life, I've been doing, giving back, and I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. It's like, what am I going to do if I would lose my vision? So I've made travel and all those different things. And, so this is our opportunity to give back. So cyberumbrella.org is a nonprofit organization. You wind up getting this grant from us. After that, we're kind of out of the equation. We're going to walk you over to Telco United Cyber. They're going to have you sign an NDA. They're going to administer this test and give you the results. There's no obligation to use Telco United. You can take this to the results to your IT company. A large percentage, because just like that accountant I talked to you about, they're now on a phenomenal program with them, because they have we put a very affordable small business program together to give 24/7 monitoring to make sure that you're protected and that you're not going to get blindsided. Because beyond compliance, we want to make sure that you and your database is secure against against ransom. So that's pretty much our webinar for today. Today we typically do a test of 5 computers, but for today and for this group, and we thank Tom and Joel for inviting us and the board. We're gonna double our grant and we will test up to 10 computers. Now, when we do 5, it gives us a great cross section. And but doing 10, if you have 10 or more computers, we'll do 10. If we find nothing, great. You're secure. If we find a lot of open windows, you can certainly use this report towards your compliance as well. So I want to thank everybody who made it today and came to our webinar. Let me put my face back on so you can see. I want to thank you guys all for coming. That's a lot of information. I hope anybody that's on here today takes advantage of our nonprofit grant where you can get this cyber assessment and then you work with Tom and Joel or who invited you on here today. Make sure that you're compliant. The FTC starting May is going to start handing out fines, but more than that, you need to really be secure because we're in a whole different world right now, and it's increasing according to the FBI by 300%. And you don't want to just get going again to get knocked out, blindsided by an event that you didn't or weren't aware of. So, guys, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to meeting all of you. If you do register, I'll give you a call and answer any of your questions prior to having Telco United give you a call to administer the test. Thank you, guys. God bless and good luck.